If you're following along in the instructions for Workshop 1 here for Excel 2010, Step 2 is after you've opened the Excel file, you're going to be looking at a view like this. The second step involves merging and centering the title and the subtitle of this worksheet. Up here we have our title, and here is our subtitle. Now, in order to represent in typed form what it means to have a range of cells, you would see something in the order of A1 through H1. Now, to represent through, you would type colon. So, in this exercise, or in this step, we're going to select A1 through H1. So I click and drag to select the entire range, A1 through H1. Once I have that selected, I'm going to come to my alignment group and click Merge and Center. And it merges and centers my text. So now my cells B1, C1, D1, and so on have all been merged and are now considered A1. So let's select our subtitle. We're going to select A2 through H2 and merge and center it. So now we have them both merged and centered. Now I want to format my title, so I'm going to select A1 again. I'm going to come up to my styles group and click my drop down arrow, my more. This is a gallery, by the way. I'm going to click my more button here, and I'm going to come down to title, and I'll find the title underneath the section titles and headings. You can see that there, titles and headings. And I'm going to click title, and you'll notice that as you cursor over any one of these, it'll give you a preview of what it might look like before you click it. This is a wonderful advantage of having for 2010 software. So I'm going to click title, and there's it's formatted. Now I'm going to select A2, come back to my gallery, and I'm going to change this to heading 1. Step 3 in our Workshop 1 for Excel 2010 is to go to cell F4, and we're going to enter a formula that will sum the amounts of B4 through E4, and it's this range here, B4 through E4. We want to put the total of that here in our total column. So there's a couple ways of doing this. Some of us are real familiar with or comfortable with just typing the formula. As we all remember, a formula always begins with an equal sign. Once we type the equal, we have to insert a function. In this case, I'm going to put in sum. As I start typing the name of my function, a list of functions will appear that I might choose. So I'm going to continue typing sum, and it goes to the top of my list. If that's the one I like to use, I can press tab, or I can use my arrow keys to arrow key through the list and get down to the one I like. Well, sum is the one I want, so I'm going to press tab on it. And when I press tab, it assumes the appropriate format for this formula. And so if I would like to use this, I'm going to put in sum, and I'll type in the range. Now again, to represent a range of cells, I will use the colon to represent through. So in this case, it's going to be B4 through colon E4. And then I'll close the parentheses and press enter. And there's my total. Now the second part of this step is to copy this formula down. Before I copy it down, let me show you an alternative to typing in the formula. One way that I like to use, and a lot of people that I associate with use as well, is a quick method called AutoSum. If we have our active cell in the location we want to have the total appear, we simply come up to our editing group and click right here on AutoSum. Now if I click my drop down arrow next to it, it'll show me some common auto-summing features or functions that we can use. Well, the one we want right now is sum. So if I click sum, Excel automatically looks for a list of numbers. Now, something to keep in mind is that wherever your active cell is, Excel will look up first, and it did. It looked up and there were no numbers above it, so it looks to the left. Those are the two locations it will look in order to use AutoSum. Up and then left. There was nothing above it, and there is to the left. So if this is the range I want to use, then I'll just press enter, and there's my total again. Now, to fill this down, we're going to want to use a good friend of ours called fill handle. If I put my cursor on the bottom the bottom right corner here of our active cell, I can click and drag down to wherever I want it to be, and it'll fill this formula down.